Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you another video. All right, so talk about the Lakers. I heard that the Lakers are interested in possibly getting Rudy Gay. I've heard a few other names as well of that ilk. I think they're trying to add some type of veteran to the roster. I think if you're gonna do that, for me, the veteran would likely be like a Bismack Biyombo because he'll not only fill the need, but he'll also be that age and kind of provide some of that. Because for me, Rudy Gay falls in the assistant category, assistant coaching category is what I'm trying to say. What you want to do is take a guy like that, retire him, and then put him on the sideline next to the coach, and whatever the hell you wanted him to do as a player, he can do as a coach. Because you gotta look at it like this: a guy like Rudy Gay, you're putting on the roster, you're going to give him an entire roster spot, and he's likely only going to play a few games out of the massive schedule. Why am I paying for that service? I don't need him in the playoffs. He ain't going to get no minutes in the playoffs. He's not going to get any minutes during the regular season unless it's just a regular type of game. The third game we play against the Sacramento Kings randomly in like February or something, he going to play in that game. He may play in a Chicago game. He may play in a random matchup against Dallas later on, but he's not going to play every night. We don't need him to. What you likely want him to do is come in and mentor Max Christie, Max Lewis, Cam Reddish, um, assist with being the leaders on the team, because obviously LeBron James and Anthony Davis, even though they're the leaders, they're such a high echelon that there's a massive disconnect between them and the regular and the role players. In a lot of cases, you need a bridge between them. And a guy like uh, Gabe Vincent may actually be that kind of guy, but I don't know if he's a high enough cachet of a player for that role necessarily. You may look at a guy and say, oh, Torian Prince may have that down, but I don't think Torian Prince you can count on to be here longer than a year since he's on a 1 year contract. Maybe he gets traded at the deadline. So you kind of want to bring in a guy like Rudy Gay, who's been a star before, but not on the level of LeBron James, to where a guy like Max Lewis and Max Christie may not necessarily want to come to him about certain things. Plus, he more so profiles the way they were as a player rather than anybody else on our team who they would otherwise relate to. So I see the fruit in bringing a guy like that. He'll help them become pros. The problem is I can't give him a roster spot because I need that roster spot for other things. A player that may be a center, for example, a player that may be able to continue to add to my asset class in the future. A guy that I might want to sign for a 2 year deal who might be 22 years old. I could see him becoming better at 24. We signed him to a good deal. Now we got another role player, another trade piece. So that's what I want all of our assets to be at all times. I think that there may be some wisdom to bringing in a veteran like this after you have everything settled in that way. A team like Orlando bringing themselves a guy who can be a player to their future. I didn't agree with them signing the player they did for that, not future, but for the as an older guy in amongst the young guys. You want that piece in place, but I don't want to give him too much of the cap. I thought they gave that particular player too much of the cap. I'll never remember what his name is, so I ain't even gonna try. But they filled that role and gave too much of the cap to that specific piece. I say sign him as an assistant coach and save yourself the cap space, save yourself the roster spot. So if a guy like that doesn't want to retire, I don't need him that bad, because if I'm only going to pay you to play 3, 4, 5 games at the most, and the rest of the games you're going to be an assistant coach any damn way, just sit over there next to the coaches as an assistant coach or a special consultant or something like Phil Handy. I don't need you to be eating up a roster spot. I can give that to a Castleton. You know what I'm saying? And I think that the entire NBA needs to be thinking that way. You about to hire a dude who's only going to be there to teach the young guys? Give him a coaching staff position. There's no reason, or a consulting position. There's absolutely no reason to race a roster spot on a guy like that. And quite honestly, in cases like this, that guy doesn't have any leverage to demand a roster spot. What are you going to say? No? Or I'm not going to babysit your kids? All right, I'll find somebody else. But I'm not giving you a roster spot. That doesn't benefit the team. So that's how I'm looking at that. If you can't contribute, if I don't intend for you to contribute on a night-to-night basis, and you don't have any upside to get better, there's no reason for you to have a roster spot. Not in my league. I don't know how the rest of the leagues. Maybe there's some wisdom I'm not taking in, but for me, that's that's the only way to play. I don't think there's any reason to bring a guy to your team that you cannot retrade for anything. You can hover around the team, but you don't have to have a roster spot. So that's how I'm rolling, and that's what I think. Also, I've been glancing at Laker content. I haven't honestly been giving you guys any content or thinking about content over the last 4 days. Um, Honestly, I've just been doing my art thing and enjoying that. And I encourage everybody to follow me on Art Deviant and check out what I've been posting over there. Also, um, a few other things that I'm doing. Just takes my time in regards to the summertime when there ain't no basketball being played. But I'm still keeping my ears to the Lakers streets, and it ain't a whole lot to talk about, other than players on the roster that people are choosing to showcase. The problem is with doing this on our team is our team consists of two players, LeBron James and Anthony Davis. After that, we have surrounding pieces that I think make a core that we believe can be role players for us if LeBron and AD happen to leave. But trying to gauge what roles those players have surrounding Bron and AD is kind of misguided, only because it looks to me that this team is pick and plug, a la Miami Heat, starting basically now. It's the system and it's the core that makes that system go that I think is going to make this team what it is. Everybody else on the team is going to be put in positions to make those two comfortable or those two rotations make sense. It all revolves around those two. Because over the last several years, what we had our team constructed to be was Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, and then no key pieces around them that made any sense. It was just whatever we could afford. Then we had to trade that stuff away to get the stuff that we have right now, and it still didn't quite make for the team we wanted it to be because we still had remnants of the salary discount players still on the roster going into the end of last season. So the Wenyen Gabriels and players like that, Dennis Schroeder, who weren't necessarily dreamt up to be on the roster, but were here because we could afford to keep them. Those guys are now being removed, and now we've drafted some players that we have in mind that's supposed to fit what we had in the second half of the season. So now this is the first year where you actually have your team. I think because of that, I think people are kind of looking at last year's team and saying, okay, who's added to this team as a means of saying, okay, who's going to start? I've been listening to people say, okay, Vanderbilt's going to start so long as he can hit his shot. Or we're going to start Max Christie in situations because it's his time to shine. It's like, I think that could be the way that you looked at NBA basketball in the past, and we've talked about this. Yeah, the starters versus the bench versus the third unit, that's one thing. But I think this is more so Anthony Davis and LeBron James versus who are we playing tonight, and depending on who we're playing tonight, that will be the other three players who are going to be starting with them. And then the rotations will be what Darvin sees fit throughout the course of the game, just like it was last year, where he's putting all kinds of stuff on the floor, whatever he wants. Small ball, 4 guard lineups. It's not going to be, if last year's any indication, it's not going to be any consistency in regards to what we'll see with those lineups. Now, that could be wrong. Maybe this is the year where he's like, all right, because I know what my squad is and it should be the team that we're going to have over the next 3 years, now I can start bringing in some consistency with my second units. Because we were picking and plugging last year, using units that didn't work and had to audible out of it midway through the season. It was his rookie season, all of that. Now he has a full training camp with the same squad. He has an offseason to consider the mistakes that may have been made last year in his rookie year. And I think Darvin Ham is going to come in with a different way of doing things. As it pertains to his second units and third units and kind of having an understanding of what he wants to do going into each game. I think that's what it's going to be about. Each game will provide different strategies, and as a result, your system will always be in place. Who you will use may not necessarily be consistent. So on some nights we want to start Rui Hachimura, Bron, Anthony Davis together. Maybe some of them days Rui's not going to start. Maybe we want to put Vando at the 3 instead of Rui at the 3 in that situation. Maybe we want to move Bron to the, I don't know. I'm not going to even say moving Bron because that doesn't make as much sense to me. But the point is, I don't think we're just going to see Gabe Vincent and Taurean Prince and D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James all season long. I do not believe that's going to be your starting lineup. If he does use that starting lineup, it'll probably be like early in the season, that's it. After that, he's going to probably get away from that. And you're going to see all kinds of different variations of what he'll want to do from the course, throughout the course of the season. So that's what I want to say. Just, who's going to get the starting job? If we're doing things the way I think it makes sense to do things, we won't have any solidified starters. What we'll have is Bron and AD, and then a bunch of options. That should allow us to throw a lot of different variations at the team that we're staring at that given night. So that's what I expect to see. I don't expect us to be as consistent as a lot of people think, because a lot of times when you have a consistent starting lineup, you do become predictable. I can look at your footage from last week and kind of determine the course of how you're going to go throughout today's game based on that. You don't want to be that predictable in this league. The games are too repetitive anyway. You're going to see the same team 4 times, so you got to be able to throw something at them that is not so easy to predict. So that is something I'm pretty sure that every NBA team understands. So yeah, that's where we're at. Just wanted to throw people a bone. Obviously, I hadn't been making the content, but I'm very much intent on letting you guys know what my thoughts are in regards to my Los Angeles Lakers. I haven't heard anything new on Christian Wood. I don't think the Lakers really want Christian Wood that bad. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. After Ball was signed, I didn't think there was anything keeping us from signing Christian Wood. Now I'm hearing the Chicago Bulls are interested. That's probably a better fit. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, I know he would love to play for the hometown Lakers, but I just don't know that we want him. We may need a center. He's not necessarily the center we need. We may respect his skill set, but it doesn't necessarily mean we can pick him up and still forego that need. So that's the problem. That is the problem. I don't know that I can get Christian Wood and still not have the same problems. And I think that may be the holdup. Bismack Biyombo's the name that comes to mind for me. I just don't want to use the roster spot on that player, because I don't think he's going to fill much of a void other than the specific need for which Darvin Ham may not choose to play him any damn way. That is why I'm not so quick to sign either of them. Kelly Oubre would be the guy I would choose, just because even though I don't know what he looks like these days, I haven't seen him play in over about a year and a half, and I know he's dealt with an injury since. So there's an asterisk next to Kelly to say, I still want Kelly Oubre so long as he's still the same Kelly Oubre from 3 years ago. If he's no longer that player and he's lost a couple steps, I don't believe he's going to hold the same value for me. He don't stretch the floor well enough for me to just have him out there at half speed, half athleticism. I'm good. So that then turns my attention to somebody I'd want even more so, and that's PJ Washington, not Tucker. Tucker is playing for the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm more so thinking about PJ Washington from the Charlotte Hornets. I haven't heard any rumbling that he's connected to the Lakers, but I would like that to change. Because if it really comes down to it and he doesn't get the money he's hoping to get, he would definitely be somebody I think would help us on both sides of the floor, unlike the guys that we're targeting. PJ can play some defense. He blocks some shots on a consistent basis. He hits the boards on a consistent basis. Where he makes his money is on the offensive end. He can stretch the floor. He can get some good things going in the mid-range and other areas as well. Very good stretch for your team. Someone who could play some 5 as well if you need it. So he's not a traditional 5, but you're not deficient on the floor with him down there. And some of those same things you want Christian Wood to do offensively, PJ is talented enough to do offensively. So he's not as realistic of a piece because he's not a struggling player. I think his situation is probably chosen. he chose probably not to take any of the opportunities available to him because he knew the Dame trade would likely open up the cap space he would need, and he would absolutely have no problem signing with the team that freed up that cap space because he is a good player and doesn't have any weaknesses right now to his age or ultimately to who it is you expect him to be. No injuries, stuff like that. He's going to be exactly who the Charlotte Hornets had, and you will likely have a bigger role for him because the Charlotte Hornets have about 7 centers. So that's why I think he came into this situation very secure in regards to the demand on me is fairly high, and me me waiting throughout the free agency situation, letting all the free agents sign to these teams should still open up a very good basketball situation for him. Unlike a guy like Christian Wood, who people look at and say, well, even if the situation opens up, I'm not sure if that team wants you. I don't think PJ has that problem. All teams should probably want him. So that's really comes down to he's still playing a dangerous game, not having signed already. He probably will settle for a Schroeder-like situation because of letting the free agent pool dry up. But in a one-year situation for him, you expect him to play that up. Wherever he lands, let's say he signs with the Houston Rockets or something, even a mix of that log jam. I don't think he's signed there, by the way. But you know with the minutes given, he's going to tell people exactly who he is and likely will be somebody you want to trade for in a trade deadline. So that's why I don't worry about PJ. He just needs to be able to stay healthy all season long wherever he signs, and I'm pretty sure he'll play a good year to get a good contract at the end of this year. So that's what it is. The only worry is for injuries. So sign somewhere and you'll be cool. I would sign with a contender. I'm going to sign with the Lakers if I'm him. Get that 1 year out there with him. Play next to Anthony Davis. Running lineups with Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura. And ultimately get the Lakers back to the Western Conference Finals. And then probably sign a deal with somebody else who will pay me because they'll be impressed with it. So that's what I'm hopeful PJ will do. If for some reason things don't open up, if that trade don't happen, Harden don't happen, and that situation doesn't happen, hopefully he doesn't go back to Charlotte to play with Richards and Najee and Williams and God knows all the other centers they got up there in Charlotte. So I don't think that opportunity is still open to him or for him, but there will be others, and LA should be open. And if I'm him, I'm a center. Even though I'd rather play power forward on most nights, I'm a center. They need a center. This may be the best opportunity to play for a team like the Lakers. Maybe the next team I end up going with is probably going to lock me up and want to keep me there for a couple years. Say he signs with a Pacers or something, they're going to want to keep him. So it's like, this might be his opportunity to go to one little year, play for some team that he always wanted to play for or something. So I don't know. I don't know if that's his mindset in regards to us, but just in general, this is like a free year to kind of do your thing if for some reason the free agent situation looks as dry as it looks for him. So that's what it is, man. I think this should be a lesson, though. As I look at PJ Washington's situation, that should be a lesson. Don't wait for the big trade to create your big opportunity. Because the big trade may not happen, and then therefore you don't necessarily get that opportunity. Free agency may dry up for you. And when that happens, bad things can really happen. And we always reference Dennis Schroeder. He didn't take the Laker bag. He opted to go into free agency. Free agency dried up on him. And he ended up in a situation where because he didn't take the bag with the Lakers, nobody wanted to even offer him anything. It seemed to me that's how that went. It's like, okay, you don't want to take that. You think something of yourself that you're not, so you're probably going to be a problem. It decreased his value. And then from there, he had to take 1 year deals with teams. In taking those 1 year deals, he got himself in a situation where the team he went to was logjammed at his position, so they couldn't showcase him for that 1 year. He ended up getting traded to a team halfway through the season that had the same problem, and he never got a chance to showcase himself that year. The following year, he re-signed a 1 year deal again with the Lakers to where he had to pay a pack-up role, and he was never ever play up his level back to where he was. Now, luckily enough, Schroeder ended up getting 14 a year this year from Toronto. But even that was risky and didn't necessarily have to fall into place this season. So it just tumbled him forward into a situation where he lost so much money. And I just think that is what you risk when you do what it appears PJ Washington's doing. He could find himself in that same situation. So if you got demand like those players had, take it early. Take it early. Don't wait for nothing to open up, because it may not. So that's what we learned there. Back to the Lakers. Hopefully we can get PJ Washington, because hopefully that will be what gets him here. Because at the end of the day, I'm not sure Kelly Oubre really has it left like that. Them injuries are starting to pile up. Bismack, role player, probably doesn't hold any value at all, really, in the league in the grand scheme of things. And Christian Wood is just a struggling player who doesn't hold any value at all right now either. So whatever you're about to pay for him, it's going to be too much, because nobody's willing to give him a damn dime. And that, my friends, is a good place to start with a talented player, but that price tag is on that player for a reason, and I'm not sure I want to find out why at all, especially when the rumblings are that there's a player on our team that doesn't want him here. I don't think they even report that if that player isn't of the caliber of Anthony Davis or LeBron James. I'm just going to tell you, I don't think Rui Hachimura can say that and it hold any weight. I don't think Austin Reeves is going to say that and that keeps that player from coming here. No. And so I'm not saying AD said it or Bron said it, but I'm telling you, unless it's Bron or AD, they probably don't even get to our eardrums in regards to that. And given the fact that AD did play with him in New Orleans early on, that's the tea leaf that I see there. That's the tea leaf that I see there. And it's tricky, man. I'll tell y'all the truth. He's from Long Beach. This is his hometown. This is his city. So when you reject a guy on their own hometown, or rather, not reject, but when you welcome them in and you have a problem with them, that's what I'm trying to express. It can be a bit tricky when they have the field, when they have the environment, when it's their people that could be on the freeway in 5 minutes if there's a problem. You just kind of don't want to welcome drama to the team when it's a native involved, especially if it's Los Angeles. I don't know about every other city, but here it's like, all right, you got a problem with this guy, and he's from here, you're not. I don't like that. I don't like that. If that's what that is, I don't like that. That's just something I'm not signing up for. If I'm the NBA owner, or if I'm the Lakers owner, I'm not signing up for that. I'm like, look, whatever the problem is, we're gonna keep him and y'all separated. If that's what it is, you ain't gotta worry about that. So I think that also could be the rumor that if there is any truth to that rumor, it's probably the reason that Christian ain't a Laker as of yet. But hopefully they can sit down. Whoever it is that didn't like Christian or didn't choose to support him coming to the Lakers, hopefully the Lakers will allow those two people the opportunity to work that difference out before making anybody play with one another. And I'll tell you right now, if this is AD's choice to not have Christian on the team, I would not defy that, especially since AD ain't signed his extension. No. If AD doesn't want somebody on the team, if their name ain't LeBron James, it shouldn't be a problem to get him off of it. I'm just saying. And I feel very confident to say that AD doesn't want anybody on off the team that I want on it. That makes me feel very confident. If AD hated Austin Reeves or something, we'd have to have a conversation about what we want for our franchise and just about how that actually came to pass. But given the fact that ain't nothing like that going on, and he's telling us that if he's saying this, and this is just me telling y'all, I don't know, he ain't said this at all, but they want to hint around, and so you put two and two together. If he doesn't want Christian Wood on the team, damn it, Christian Wood, I don't want you on the team either. I'm rolling with Anthony Davis, who I need to sign a $170 million extension to keep my team where we need to be, man. I'm not bringing in nobody that maybe he cool on for any reason at all. Salute to Kobe minute, that being said. So that's what I'm saying, man. I don't know what it is, but I'll tell you this. This is what the young players have to learn. I don't know what it takes to get along with people in the NBA. Who knows? Far from me to tell y'all need to play nice with one another. But if you get off to a bad start with anybody, you don't know who they're going to be in the NBA tomorrow. Kind of want to keep even keeled. kind of want to play it by the book. A good friend of mine I used to work with told me all the time, if you play it by the book, people may look at you like you're just a straight-laced kind of guy, but at the end of the day, you're going to have a reputation with everybody that they can work with you, and that you will stay true to what it is that your common goal is. Because once you start freelancing and making it friendshipy and all that stuff, once certain lines are crossed, you can't cross back over those lines to make it work for the team. A lot of times, depending on the personality, and that's just how it goes left. So I don't know what, but a lot of times it's like, okay, whoever I may have angered back in 2019 probably be somebody that's going to have to gatekeep for me in 2024. I probably should not let the energy stay bad. I probably should not step on that person unnecessarily, or whatever the case may be, because you never know in this league, or anywhere for that matter. So that's what it is, man. I've watched so many years when people had power and lose it and then be on the wrong end of it. We've seen that more than once. And we're seeing it now in certain situations where guys had power until they started wanting certain things. Now they ain't got power no more. You can be a guy. I was listening to Andre Drummond talk about this. You could be a guy who made 100-something plus $1 million, and in your next contract, you're a minimum guy. That's not even uncommon. That's a path expectancy for a lot of guys who are signing these contracts. So that's what I'm saying. Your power doesn't stay the way it is. You may be the man on the team. You're the man on the team in Orlando. You're going to fast forward and be in Philadelphia and just be the backup guy and a role player. So it's like, you got to understand, all the superstars who are signing $260 million contracts right now, humble family. Your path expectancy is going to make it so that you are a role player before you retire. Unless your name LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, you're likely going to experience not having no power after being the guy that everybody listens to. Like, it just is what it is. So that's why I tell people to humble themselves. No matter how high you reach in this league, you're a couple knee injuries away from being outside of the game. So, that's my thought in regards to that. That's not specific to our team. That's every team. It's every walk of life in basketball. So, yeah, that's what I want to say, man. Nothing new to add to the roster expectancy. We got a long summer ahead, 3 months before basketball will be played again. And go try to get through it, man. This is not my favorite time of year for that reason alone. But give you guys what I got, and as I listen to more in regards to our team, of course, I'll forward that to you. Hopefully our team doesn't do anything that I would hate, but given the fact that our roster is almost done and now we're just trying to add a finishing touch to it, I don't think I'd really hate anything. I just have a strict mindset about bringing assets to me that I know I can retrade, because if it's an untradeable asset, I don't believe it holds the most use to our franchise. Maybe it could be good for the unit. Maybe it can be really good for the unit, and maybe that's the wisdom we need to follow. Maybe I need to hear a conversation that helped me understand why bringing a guy to me for the betterment of the roster, even if they can't be retraded for nothing, even if they're a dead asset, is a good thing, because there may be some wisdom to that. But for myself, I am not quite on board with that for any reason. I'm still trying to get everything to be absolutely valuable no matter what. So that's where my head is. No Rudy Gay for me. So that's pretty much it, man. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.